garbage bag back in 1992. The case was dormant for years. It was retested using newer technology. Mackle report.
This is the booking photo of Inga Carey. According to jail records from Parish, on Thursday, March 2nd, she was booked with first-degree murder and being a fugitive out of Picayune, Mississippi. Sources close to this case and Carrier's lawyer confirmed WDSU investigates that the murder charge stems from a case 3 decades to 1992 and the discovery of a newborn baby being found inside a dumpster just across the state line in Picayune.
It's only maybe the second or third kid in an almost 30-year career where somebody's been arrested for something that occurred 30 years ago.
Longtime Jefferson Parish Public Defender Paul Fleming is representing Carrier.
And that's kind of the thing, Travis, is there's evidence to suggest that my client believed the child was, which would not be newborn, not be a baby, not be an infant, and would not be a murder either.
In August of 2021, the Picayune Police Department and Mississippi Bureau of Investigations reopened the investigation into this homicide. With the help of advanced technology, DNA profiles and fingerprints were developed from the preserved evidence. Through investigative means, detectives were able to identify the infant's parents as 50-year-old Andrew Carrier and 50-year-old Inga Johnson Carrier, who were living in Louisiana at the time of the death. This breakthrough in the case is a testament, according to cops, to the advancement in forensic technology and the dedication of law enforcement agencies to bring justice to victims and their families. Is in the initial stages of its investigation, but does not believe his client committed any crime.
What we've determined so far would tend to exonerate our client. We don't think she had any guilty knowledge of this incident that occurred more than 30 years ago.
Court records list this home in Avondale as Carrier's. And on that charge of first-degree murder, bail was not set for Carrier.
This is difficult for everybody, for both sides to handle, because of the same things you said, Travers. The evidence is old, witnesses are gone. Some of the witnesses, some of the people who would have been witnesses have died, and that's accurate. It's not speculation among them. In this case, some of the witnesses have in fact died. It's going to make it difficult to prosecute, difficult to defend.
State police tell us the investigation into this case continues. Point out that first-degree murder in Louisiana is punishable if by death. It's not yet known because it's so early on in this case if the DA could seek the death penalty.
New this morning, Prentiss County deputies recently took the time to remember a former law enforcement officer. Saturday marks 24 years since he died while in the line of duty. The Prentiss County Sheriff's Department said Michael Highsaw died on March 11th in 1999. He was 27 years old when he died. The department said someone shot and killed him when he responded to a call about a man trying to get into a home. When he got there, he saw the suspect leaving. He stopped the vehicle. The suspect was driving and went to talk to him. That's when the person shot him 3 times. The department said Deputy Highsaw had been with the agency for 3 years. He's the first law enforcement officer known to be killed in Prentiss County. Also in Prentiss County, the community is still grieving. A deadly house fire over the weekend killed a 7-year-old boy and left his grandmother fighting to stay alive. The Baldwin School District took to social media to express their condolences, saying, quote, "We would like to extend our thoughts and prayers to the Chandler and Coleman families for the loss of one of our own, Colton." Superintendent Raymond Craven says the school is to honor Colton's memory. Baldwin Elementary School. Fire investigators in Prentiss County to find out what caused this deadly house fire. The fire happened early Saturday morning on County Road 5301 near the Wheeler community. Prentiss County Sheriff Randy Toller says the 7-year-old was staying with his grandparents at the time of the fire. First responders airlifted the 7-year-old's grandmother to a hospital in Memphis. The sheriff says she's suffering from serious burns. The fire investigator is looking into what happened. 2 deadly crashes in 2 different counties, and both happened over the weekend. Now, state troopers are trying to figure out what happened. And if you're traveling along the Natchez Trace and see smoke during your
around 43 degrees. That's actually right around where we should, but we still have a lot of time before that sun comes up, so temperatures may even drop into those upper 30s. Now that normal high is around 66. We're not going to be that warm into the afternoon. We're actually only warming into those 50s later today, but we will see more sunshine a little bit later in the next couple of hours. Mostly clear skies right now, some passing clouds here and there, but we're not tracking out any rainfall for your morning time. As you are heading out, going throughout the rest of the day, maybe planning on heading out, doing some traveling around Mississippi. We're not seeing any slowdowns or backups looking at traffic. Of course, many folks still sleeping at 5:11 for your morning time, but if you are getting out over the next little while, temperatures warming up. By your lunchtime, still only into those upper 40s. By the afternoon, we're topping out into those low to middle 50s. We will continue to see mostly clear, sunny conditions, but those north to northwest breezes may actually make it feel a little bit cooler. Happening today, you might see fire if you're traveling along the Natchez Trace, but don't be alarmed. The National Park Service will burn hundreds of acres starting this week. Park officials say the burn operations were meant to start Saturday, but weather conditions did not line up. Burns will start today, and they will continue into April. It will happen in Chickasaw, Montauk, and Lee counties. Now, keep in mind for the next few weeks, trails will be temporarily closed to avoid people breathing in air that park officials consider unhealthy for you. If you do see smoke, you should turn on your headlights and slow down to 30 miles an hour. As for why these controlled burns are happening, park officials say it's primarily for limiting risks in the future, as well as preventing fires from spreading. Controlled burns all be in wilderness growth.
New this morning, 2 boats crashed, 8 people found dead, and you won't believe what authorities believe the boats could have been involved in.
I'm hoping that people will move to the extent that they will want to say never again.
You have a chance to see a new exhibit along the Alabama coast, and it involves starting to roll in, a few more clouds, but we will see most of those rain chances holding off until later in the day Thursday, overnight, and into your Friday. The Mississippi Highway Patrol is looking into 2 deadly crashes that happened in 2 different counties over the weekend. The most recent one happened in Winston County. It left 1 man dead and another one recovering this morning. That wreck happened Saturday night on Highway 25 in Winston County. Investigators say a 29-year-old man driving a motorcycle was traveling north when he hit a truck that was trying to merge into the northbound lanes. The 29-year-old died from his injuries. He has been identified as Preston Millis. The driver of the truck has minor injuries.
And another crash happened, this one in Houston. 1 died in this accident. It happened Saturday morning around 4 o'clock on Highway 8 in Chickasaw County. Now, here's what we know as of right now. A driver was heading eastbound on Highway 8 when they hit a pedestrian. The pedestrian died from his injuries, and he was later identified as Brian Bailey. Nobody else was hurt. The Mississippi Highway Patrol is still investigating both crashes.
State lawmakers bring a bill that could end up with your name removed from the
and carried the initial 7 bodies found in the water to dry sand, while officers with Customs and Border Protection's air and marine operations found the 8th body, according to officials.
Residents in parts of Monterey County in California received orders to move out over the weekend after a levee breached by the rain-swollen waters of the Pajaro River. Officials advised Pajaro residents to avoid tap water for drinking and cooking until further notice. Officials say water may have entered the well casing and could be contaminated with chemicals that cannot be made safe by boiling or disinfection. A second atmospheric river is on its way to California, just as the state contends with a levee breach.
Those of you hitting the waves in Florida for spring break will want to watch out. Officials in Florida are warning spring breakers heading into the area about an infestation of Portuguese man-o-war. These are no joke either. I mean, they hurt. The creature is similar to a jellyfish, but can be more dangerous. Those with South Walton Fire District say the venom is quite powerful and could send you to the hospital. The beach safety director says there are thousands of them on the beaches and in the water right now, all during their first big batch of spring breakers. He adds these creatures are wind riders, so they come with the current, sometimes unexpectedly. If you see a purple flag on the beach while you're on spring break, it means there could be dangerous marine life in the water. And they warn you to stay out of the water if you see that colored flag. Mississippi voters, this is something you need to hear. A bill that could lead to officials removing your name from the voter rolls if you don't vote every election cycle. House Bill 1310 adds to the reasons that local electors can purge the rolls. Voters may be purged from the voter roll for 5 reasons. Here's what the Secretary of State's website currently lists as acceptable reasons. Certain request by the voter to be removed from the voter roll, along with conviction of a voter disqualification crime within the state of Mississippi, ruling by a court of incompetence, death, and moving residents outside of the county or outside of the state. But it also says, in all caps, might I add, a voter may not be purged from the voter roll based solely upon inactivity or having failed to vote. Under this proposal, if you showed up to vote and you'd already been moved to inactive status, you'd have to affidavit ballot. Once you're purged from the rolls, you would have to re-register to vote again. The bill will likely go through more changes before the end of the legislative session.
State lawmakers are hoping to help food banks across our state. This morning, you have to hear what bill they're looking to pass.
And it's a big week for sports. From baseball games to the SEC basketball tournaments, we've got you covered. This morning, here when your teams will play.
And as you're heading outside right now in Blue Springs, we're going to continue to track out mostly. Flowing smoothly.
New this morning, a man is facing charges in Louisville this morning after the police say they found him with as a felon. Police arrested this man, Fabian Lloyd. They charged him with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. The judge set his bond at $20,000. And happening now, state lawmakers are looking into a bill that would encourage businesses to donate to food banks across the state. House Bill 1723 would create a dollar-for-dollar credit for businesses that give to one of the state's 4 food banks. Extra Table, Mississippi Food Network, Mid-South Food Bank, and Feeding the Gulf Coast all provide food to more than 400 food pantries and soup kitchens on a monthly basis. Supporters of the bill say people in 62 out of Mississippi's 82 counties do not have easy access to grocery stores. So businesses that donate to those banks would help get food to communities. The bill passed the House with a unanimous vote, and it's now headed to the Senate Finance and then to the floor for a vote.
This Skilled Work story is sponsored by Northeast Mississippi Community College.
Have you ever wanted to play? It's really fun. You don't need higher education to make that dream a reality. WTVA's Bronson Woodrow shows us how.
In this record room.
Go to work.
We told him something he's never forgotten.
Diva Plus. All right.
Cooler temperatures, our morning lows in the 40s. Tunica was at 38 degrees this morning. 39 in New Albany, 38 in Houston. Some of us still stuck in the 30s, but in the Golden Triangle region, we're sitting right in the lower 40s, and we're going to see that continue throughout the morning. So if you have an early commute, you may want to grab the jacket because it is chilly outside and still a little breezy with that cooler air falling in. Here's a light burning this morning, 5:01. We still have couple hours until the sun rises, but we are seeing clear overhead. Now we do have a dry start to the week. We're going to stay dry through Thursday with sunshine overhead, but cooler temperatures carry us all the way through Thursday. We do have rain arriving later this weekend and some potential freezes tonight. We'll get into the details coming up.
Thanks, Briley. A motorcycle collided with a car in Winston County, killing the rider. Highway Patrol got the call around 7 Saturday about a wreck on MS Highway 25. A Harley-Davidson driven by 29-year-old Preston Mills hit the right side of a Toyota Tundra that was crossing the northbound lanes. Mills died at the scene. But the 87-year-old driver of the Toyota, Ray Cockrell of Louisville, had minor injuries. Troopers are investigating. In Chickasaw County, troopers are also investigating the death of a pedestrian hit by a vehicle. It happened early Saturday morning on MS Highway 8. 50-year-old P.V. Harris's vehicle was heading east when it collided with pedestrian Brian Bailey from Pontotoc. Bailey was killed, but no one else was hurt. And we're waiting for an update on the condition of a Yalobusha County deputy in the hospital following a car accident. The deputy, Randy Coleman, was on duty. He's being treated at Regional 1 Medical Center in Memphis. This is all the sheriff's office is releasing so far. Stay with WCBI for more information. Well, spring break's meant for relaxing, but it can easily go a different direction. Local law enforcement say a lot of people ride dirt bikes and four-wheelers during the break. They're reminding riders to stay off the roads. Traveling can also be hazardous without proper planning. UW student Thomas Tucker is going to New Orleans, but he tells us he's got what he needs.
Some of the things I try to do is always make sure my phone is charged, because I don't like stranded anywhere without a phone charged, especially in a you don't know anything about. Also, try to map out your area, I guess. Make sure you're not going in any dangerous places or anything. Look up reviews to the places you're going, things like that.
According to Travel Agent Central, the most popular spring break destinations this year are Orlando, Florida, and Cancun, Mexico. Moving your clock forward is a good reminder to check your smoke detectors. Rosalind Freeman spoke with a fire expert about how important it is to not only have the device, but keep it working.
Piece of furniture that people forget about every year and is the most important item in your house.
Kids this year, we have a little bit of area that the pets can actually go to, and then of course we're going to have the St. Patrick's Day adults too, which is a green beer and some great food, a lot of live music. It's just a wonderful day, and it goes from 1 to 6.
Not only before a good cause, but just help out your fellow human beings, right? It's a good thing. It's a good lesson for high school and college age kids to learn to do something for someone without expecting anything in return, or in this case, some animals.
Money wrapped up Sunday afternoon. Organizers were hoping to raise $40. A former NFL player with roots in Northeast Mississippi returned this weekend. Chad Groening shares the message he had for young people.
Joe Horn spent 12 years in the NFL playing for the Kansas Chiefs, New Orleans Saints, and Atlanta Falcons. On Saturday, he came to the Northside Boys and Girls Club of Tupelo to shoot a few hoops with area youth and mentor them about making the right choices. It's the Love Your Neighbor initiative. My father-in-law, Mr. Bean, called me up about a year ago. Was hearing about a lot of shootings that was happening with the youth here in Mississippi. So he called me one night and was asking me would I be okay with coming down to speak to the kids more often. And I told him sure, I would love to do that.
Started just pondering in my mind, what can some of us do to try to help stop the gun violence? So it just kept kind of like, hitting my mind. And so I'm trying my best, because I got 8 grandsons. And when you see it on the news so often, gun violence with the young men, young ladies also, but it's more prevalent in the young men. It's on the heart. I'm a deacon, chairman of deacon board at my church, which is here in Tupelo, the Temple of Compassion and Deliverance. So it just, it made my heart heavy.
He knows what it is going to take to convince these kids to seek the right love. I mean, when people see that it's more love they're having as far as the kids and as far as gun violence in Tupelo, Mississippi, these kids got to see that you're there. Celebrities or superstars, or whatever you want to call us, we can come to town and talk. But once we leave, who are the kids going to be able to call at 2 o'clock in the morning when they don't have food to eat, when they can't go anywhere? Horn says it takes a community effort. You have to build something bigger for these kids to go to. The Boys and Girls Club is wonderful. It's a small building. It's not that big to carry all the kids that need to come and that needs the attention. So I'm pushing for more business owners.
Because I've had them for a very long time, and I still watch a lot of them. Even though they're DVDs and not Blu-rays, I still do. But they do take up a lot of space. When you think now that you could buy all movies digitally.
Armed section of the UK police, tasked with defending high-profile government buildings and ministers.
It still baffles me how a monster was able to wear that uniform.
Nathan Bush served in the same unit while Carrick was there.
Does it make you reflect differently on your time?
It makes me question probably every single person that I work with.
After Carrick pleaded guilty to 71 sexual offences, the Met Police admitted previously come to theirs and other forces' attention 9 times.
We have missed opportunities over time to identify a pattern of abusive behaviour.
CNN has spent more than a month looking into those missed opportunities and found that on at least 2 occasions police did not follow their own procedures for handling misconduct and therefore did not miss Carrick's violence but failed to treat it with the severity it deserved, leaving him free to meet further victims. We spoke via text to one of those victims, Darcian, who met Carrick at 20. After months of abuse, she reported him to a police station outside of London in July 2021.
It's not easy for you to arrive at a police station and tell a policeman I was raped by a policeman.
Carrick was placed on restricted duties and his gun removed while they investigated, but he was not suspended. Darcian ended up withdrawing her complaint.
I didn't feel protected, and whenever I went to the police station to make another statement, I asked and nobody told me anything. So I was very shaken and thinking that they didn't believe me.
Within 2 months, Carrick was preparing to return to full duties, armed once again. That should never have happened. From our own research into the Met's protocol for handling misconduct, Darcian's allegations should have been investigated further despite her withdrawing the complaint, and the officers assigned to the case would have had access to a searchable database that logged at least one previous incident in which Carrick was violent towards a woman. It happened just 5 months before Darcian.
In September 2019, a neighbour reported they had seen Carrick grabbing a woman by the neck during a domestic incident in Hertfordshire. Police there told us they sent a crime report to the Met Police, specifically to the department handling often known as the Directorate of Professional Standards, or the DPS. Now, according to the DPS own guidelines, an allegation as serious as this should have been escalated.
It's domestic abuse, third-party reporting, so clearly done in view of other people, and the fact that in 2019 Carrick was carrying a gun, so it should have been escalated. There's a red flag there.
But action was taken. The victim did not want to pursue charges at the time. The police tell CNN that since Carrick's sentencing, they have now come forward with allegations against him.
I understand you're under arrest.
In October 2021, Carrick was finally arrested again when another woman came forward with a rape allegation 3 months after Darcian's complaint. He was charged and Darcian's case.
I told God and myself, thank you, Lord, for showing up another victim, so now they may.
She's not alone in this experience. 173 Met police officers accused of sexual offences by the public over 11 years, just 2 were charged. To add to the horror, the Met has confirmed that 2 of Carrick's colleagues have been placed on restricted duties after contacting one of his victims. Sky News reported they had been sending sexually suggestive messages to her. As yet, no police officer has faced any consequences for failing to stop Carrick for so many years. The UK's police watchdog has now reopened a review into the handling of Carrick's case, despite previously saying they had no cause to investigate. And the force continues to struggle to prove it can keep women safe and hold its officers to account.
CNN reached out to the Met Police for this investigation and they referred us to their existing statements on Carrick. They said they would not be commenting further while there are ongoing government reviews into the handling of his case. And since Carrick's sentencing, more
potential victims had come forward to police. Meanwhile, the Centre for Women's Justice told CNN that some of Carrick's victims now consider a class action lawsuit against the Met Police. As yet, no police officer has faced any consequences for failing to stop Carrick. Katie Bogley, CNN, London.
The time now is 5:08.
And after Friday, we're going to dip back down into the 50s. Overnight lows were in the 30s, and gradually warm on into the 50s before we drop back down to the 30s after low pressure system passes on Friday. Well, folks, you can quit constantly checking bracketology reports because we finally had Selection Sunday last night. Both the men's and the women's brackets are out, and I'm here to tell you who from the Magnolia State is in Mississippi State men's basketball.
His co-stars Ki Hui Kwan and Jamie Lee Curtis won for their supporting roles. Former child actor Kwan gave up acting 20 years ago because he didn't see opportunities for Asian actors.
My journey started on a boat. I spent a year in a refugee camp. And somehow, I ended up here on Hollywood's biggest stage.
It was also Curtis's first Oscar. She acknowledged her appearance. The Best Actor award went to Fraser for The Whale.
This has been incredible and affirming, and it's given me a lesson in humility and gratitude.
There were no incidents during the more than 3 the Oscar stage. Host Jimmy Kimmel addressed the slap during his opening monologue.
If anyone in this theater commits an act of violence at any point during the show, you will be awarded the Oscar for Best Actor.
And Lenny Kravitz performed a moving tribute to those the industry lost in the past year.
The Oscars were handed out in a lot of people probably feel that way about their pets because they can be such
And
a
it
handful.
is, at times.
But then you just love them to death.
Linda said a full-loaded JVC stereo system. She's had it, she's not getting rid of it. She loves it.
I've had it for 25 years.
It's pretty remarkable.
And they're associated with entertainment and stuff we use on a constant basis, even though they can be outdated technology.
Right.
It can be difficult to get rid of because we've established that connection.
That
We spend so
bond.
much time
Yeah.
with that device. That's over on our Facebook page. We've got more Sunrise coming up after the break.
Telling your story, Keely Shields, WCBI News.
About 25 minutes from 6 o'clock on this Monday morning. Here's a live look from Vernon. Quiet, the sun is yet to come up. They will shortly. We're waking up to mostly clear skies. You can see that on satellite and radar.
Parties Day event and giving all the proceeds to the Humane Society. Food and even treatments. Pets need all of that, but it costs money to provide for the rescues. Outreach coordinator of the Humane Society, Brandy Johnson, says receiving this money gives them a little relief when it comes to funds.
It feels so good. Everybody's willing to learn and do better and be a better pet owner and help all the animals in Lowndes County.
The street out front, use the courthouse lawn. We want it to get bigger and bigger, and we'll keep doing whatever we need to do.
Telling your story in Columbus, Takia Cummings, WCBI News.
There's a kangaroo there. That was our Takia Cummings reporting. The time now is 5:40. After the break, we've got this week's
S23. This latest series of phones includes the Galaxy S23, S23 Ultra, and S23.
We got you. Blend it in.
Thursday, our rain chances
in California or in Italy, it comes
Netherlands Mauritshuis Museum. In its place, the museum is featuring finalists from a competition to read the famous work. Called My Girl with the Pearl, the contest was flooded with more than 3,400 submissions, some surreal, some silly, and at least one finalist sparking controversy of AI technology to recreate the. That submission is one of several now on a loop in a digital frame in the Dutch Museum. Fans of Stan can now marvel at a museum featuring letters to a fictional address from the comic book that also happens to be real. In 1989, 20 Ingram Street was featured in an issue of Spy. And for 30 years, a family that lived at that real address in Queens received letters from Spidey fans thinking the web slinger really lived there. The home even received credit card offers for Peter Parker. The letters are now immortalized in a Brooklyn museum showcasing how the art imitated life. Or was it the other way around? And finally, vulgar or just vegan? That was the question at the heart of a debate over this vanity by a driver in Maine who says he's a vegan who loves tofu. The Bureau of Motor Vehicles could be interpreted as vulgar and had to be removed. The driver fought the ruling, but after losing an appeal, he says he won't pursue this beef anymore either. Or take a look at this. I'm Jeremy Roth.
I don't get it. The guy just loves tofu.
That made me laugh.
So let's go to our sunrise question of the day before I get distracted. Over on our Facebook page, we're asking, what's one thing you own that you really wish you can't seem to get rid of? That guy probably wants to get rid of his license plate now.
He does. Lots of interesting responses, some relatable. B said coffee cups.
Coffee drinkers. Josie broke down, haven't ran in over a year. She's talking about her van.
Oh man, Donnie said kidney stones. Goodness, we pray.
Those can be painful. Courtney, fine china.
Okay, Kira says wait.
Definitely.
It's a New Year's resolution for me.
Tough to get rid of. Pearly, student loans.
Yep, I bet everybody's in line for that one. Charles said, seriously, my tools. Need them to work songs.
Yeah, gotta have them, but they take up a lot of space too.
Okay, I think everyone's on that.
Yeah, just across the board. Let's just get rid of all of them. Never have to pay anyone. Alicia, my belly.
John said, my job.
And B, extra furniture.
I'm still trying to think, Eric. I don't just keep a lot of things.
Which you're kind of out of your college phase, so you're probably getting into that portion of your life where you're going to start collecting a lot of
You're
stuff.
right.
So keep that in mind.
It's spring cleaning season, so
it's a very good point. It's over on our Facebook page. More sunrise still to come.
Incredible low prices that our competitors can't beat.
No.
We're building our own legacy. Our players, our dreams. I said I'm good. You're not good. We're all good at coaching. much fake. Nobody got to do it.
Driver of the Toyota Ray Cockrell of Louisville had minor injuries. Troopers are investigating. In Chickasaw County, troopers are also investigating the death of a pedestrian hit by a vehicle. It happened early Saturday morning on MS Highway 8. 50-year-old Kiwi Harris's vehicle was heading east when it collided with pedestrian Brian Bailey from Pontotoc. Bailey was killed, but no one else was hurt. And we're waiting for an update on the condition of a Yalobusha County deputy in the hospital following a car accident. Deputy Randy Coleman was on duty. He's being treated at Regional 1 Medical Center in Memphis. This is all the sheriff's office is releasing so far. Stay with WCBI for more information. Moving your clocks up an hour is also a good reminder to check your smoke detectors. The U.S. Fire Administration reports a third of deaths in home fires happen in houses or apartments without smoke alarms. But having the device isn't enough. It has to be working. The firefighters in Columbus say you need an exit plan before the alarm goes off.
When you hear that thing going off, is to get out. You need to know at least 2 ways to get out of the house. You need to know how to get to your doors, how to get to your windows, preferably with your eyes closed, because if it does start to get smoky, you need to be low, trying to avoid the smoke as best you can.
For more on keeping those fire alarms working, contact your local fire departments. The excitement of spring break fun can create dangerous situations. A lot of people are traveling, or at the very least out on the roads. Keely Shields spoke with students heading out about their plans to stay safe.
Thomas Tucker is a college student at MUW. He is looking forward to taking some time off and plans to head down to New Orleans.
Definitely excited to the zoo, trying to go see some animals down there. Bourbon Street for sure. Haven't taken a stroll down there in a long time, so excited about that.
When traveling, Tucker does a few things to make sure he stays safe.
Some of the things I try to do is always make sure my phone is charged, because I don't like getting stranded anywhere without a phone charged, especially in a place that you don't know.
Clay County Sheriff Eddie Scott says he sees a few common things for the people who may be staying home this spring break.
Typically during spring break, we see a lot of our kids start getting out riding their four-wheelers and their go-karts and this kind of stuff. But we encourage, please keep these kids off the road. It's too dangerous and they're supposed to be on the road to start with.
During the time off, kids may throw parties, and law enforcement says there is a likelihood of underage drinking. Sheriff Scott says it's important to monitor your kids and to be aware that adults can also find themselves in trouble.
There's a host of law out there. It's illegal for an adult to have a bunch of teenagers and provide them alcohol.
And if you do go anywhere during spring break, be sure you are not traveling alone.
Always suggest that you stay with people you know. You never leave, you never go off with a crowd or people that you know. The buddy system is what we call it. Hey, and know your limit. If you're drinking, you know when you've had enough, and go somewhere where that you know that you're safe and secure.
Telling your story, Keely Shields, WCBI News.
And according to Travel Agent Central, the most popular spring break destinations this year are Orlando, Florida, and Cancun, Mexico. Briley?
We've got sunshine in store today after a stormy weekend. Sunshine abounding overhead, but we're not going to warm all too much. We still have cold air falling in from the north, limiting our heating. Temperatures peaking in the mid-50s today. And it's a cold start to the morning. If you have an early commute and you're up watching, please put on a sweater. You're going to need the layers this morning. We are tracking an overnight. We'll get into the details in my full forecast. Eric?
Thanks, Briley. The Columbus Lounge Humane Society hosted the 5th St. Patrick's Day Potty at Zachary's. The money makes up four-legged friends in need, so of course pets are part of the party. Owners could take it inside while there was a designated spot outside for the fur babies.
We block off the whole street. We have some bouncy houses for the kids this year. We have a little bit of area that the pets can actually go to. And then, of course, we have the St. Patrick's Day thing for the adults, too. Free beer and some great food, a lot of live music. It's just a wonderful day. It's from 1 to 6.
Not only for a good cause, but it's help out your fellow human beings, right? It's a good thing. It's a good lesson for high school and college age kids to learn to do something for someone without expecting in return. or in this case, some animals.
The body wrapped up Sunday evening. Organizers were hoping to raise $40,000. A former NFL player with roots in Northeast Mississippi returned this weekend. Chad Cronin shares the message he had for young people.
Joe Horn spent 12 years playing for the Kansas City Chiefs, New Orleans Saints, and Atlanta Falcons. On Saturday, he came to the Northside Boys and Girls Club of Tupelo to shoot a few hoops with area youth and mentor them about making the right choices.
It's the Love Your Neighbor initiative. My father-in-law, Mr. Bean, called me up about a year ago. Was hearing about a lot of shootings that was happening with the youth here in Mississippi. So he called me one night and was asking me would I be okay with coming down to speak to the kids more often. And I told him sure, I would love to.
Just pondering in my mind, what can some of us do to try to help stop.
You guys had my bills. I think we'll chime in on that one.
Yeah, I'd be okay if I never had to pay a bill again.
Me too.
Alicia, my belly. I'm saying that trying to lose weight is tough.
All right, John says his job. So one that he enjoys.
Yeah, it's been fascinating to me to see how many of these responses are leaning in a negative direction. But I guess, it's Monday morning.
It
Some
is
people,
Monday.
Thinking about their jobs and having to go back to work. Yeah. Sorry, don't blame me, just the messenger. We also had somebody said they had too much furniture, too.
Read
Which
that one.
furniture takes up a lot of space. So
It sure
that's
does.
one we gotta kind of get out of it.
This question makes me think about, have a drawer in your house that we call a junk drawer, and it just has lighters, screwdrivers, batteries,
Yeah.
pencils, all these things
All
in there.
kinds of junk. A junk drawer. I of course have one, and right now I can't actually get the drawer
Can't
open
get it open.
because there's too much stuff in there. Because I'm really bad about when I put something together and I get directions for it. I feel like hold on to
Keep
those.
them on the same
If it falls apart, what am I gonna do? And so I've got a drawer that's just stacked too full of directions. That's over on our Facebook page. We got more sunrise coming up.
Hyundai Santa Fe, a stylish SUV on point for your family adventures. Get yours at Columbus Hyundai, starting at only $28,200.
It's the season of any size, any flavor faves at McDonald's. Get any size delicious frozen Coke, some fancy blue raspberries for just $1.99. Or pick up a bowl of cream and coffee for the same price. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
It's time to vote in WCDI's Viewers' Choice Award. Vote Bloomer's Nursery for Best Garden Store. Vote every day throughout March for all of your local favorites in WCDI's Viewers' Choice Awards on WCDI.com.
William Wells Tire and Auto keeps you on the road no matter where you are in the Golden Triangle. They're ready to serve you in their original central location. In Columbus. And also in West Point. You can rely on William Wells Tire and Auto to cover your regular vehicle maintenance as well as repairs. They offer daily specials plus a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on most of their work. See us at our 3 locations, Starville, Columbus, and West Point. We'll take care of you.
Taking care of my mother is so hard. It's just more than I can handle on my own. All my life, she gave me the best care she could. Now it's my turn. I have to find my mom the best care.
You want the best. Comfort Keepers want to give your loved one the best care. Our caregivers are matched to meet the needs of your loved one. Call for a free care consultation at 662-841-8477 or visit comfortkeepers.com.
Here at Emerson Animal Hospital in West Point, we know your pets are not just pets, they're family. Your family will always receive quality health care in our state-of-the-art diagnostic facility with a fully stocked veterinary pharmacy. We also offer a very broad range of soft tissue orthopedic surgeries. We offer a fantastic boarding facility with glass front suites and television. So come see us today at Emerson Animal Hospital in West Point. And remember, your pets will thank you. Thank you for allowing your pets to be part of the Emerson family.
Whoop, whoop, meow, meow. The Hyundai Venue. It's a small SUV with big symbol. Get yours at Columbus Hyundai, starting at $19,500.
Welcome back. It's been 20 years since the George W. Bush administration came up with a plan to take on the HIV/AIDS epidemic. The impact was astonishing. As David McKenzie reports, the epidemic shouldn't be forgotten.
Started taking the medication. Did you start feeling better straight away or took a long time? It's an epidemic that many have forgotten.
It wasn't easy for me to accept. Many people cry when they hear about their status.
Felissande's young life upended when she tested positive for HIV last year. Years ago, her mother died of suspected AIDS.
I first cried. I started by crying. Then what eventually happened, I knew that I had to take my pills. These are the most important ones.
Are they easy to take?
It's so easy. Nothing hard about taking pills.
Life-saving antiretroviral drugs that she will take for a lifetime.
I got it for breast.
How do you feel about that?
I feel normal. It's part of life.
Part of life for nearly 6 million South Africans on treatment. The country still has the highest HIV burden in the world. People who could otherwise die, living normal lives. It's an extraordinary public health achievement.
Many hospitals tell people, you've got AIDS, we can't help you. Go home and die. In an age of miraculous medicines, no person should have to hear those words.
20 years ago, President George W. Bush announced the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, or PEPFAR. The region was in crisis. In the hardest hit areas, the virus was seen as a death sentence, because it often was. Life expectancy dropped by 20 years. Child deaths had tripled. Multiple generations were at risk.
Seldom has history offered a greater opportunity to do so much for so many.
It was a complete surprise. John Blanford, CDC's director in South Africa, has been HIV positive since the mid-80s on antiretroviral pills since the 90s.
Despite the fact that we had highly effective therapies starting in 1996 that were largely available in Western Europe and the United States. And so the challenge was then getting the effective drugs, life-saving drugs, to the places where they were needed most.
And in those regions, PEPFAR saved more than 25 million lives. Like 64-year-old Julius Malepi in Lesotho, who's been on treatment for 10 years. If you have faith in the pills, they will work for you, he says. You'll start to get sick if you skip the treatment. But public health officials say that the epidemic is at a crossroads. Infection rates among men who have sex with men and young women remain stubbornly high. So these groups have been a special focus. And globally, more than 600,000 people die of AIDS. Provide access to prevention and treatment that can save their lives and stop the spread of HIV.
A lot of the world has sort of forgotten about HIV, but you haven't forgotten.
No, we haven't.
Why?
We haven't forgotten. We still have people who are dying of HIV. Yes, it's not as big a number as we have seen it before. We still see HIV impacting lives of people in the household. We see children who are still born with HIV. We still see young people still being exposed to HIV because of issues of vulnerability. So we can't forget.
It's a very big risk, like for a person not to take a medication if they are HIV positive, and also not to be sure that they are not HIV positive and they have to go test. It's a very risky thing.
Why is it risky?
Because a person can die without knowing what killed them.
But Asandi wants to become a doctor or a singer. The burden she has to carry is one no child should carry. But in the next 20 years, with enough will, this virus can be beaten. David McKenzie, CNN, Johannesburg.
The time now is 6:18. There's a live look from our sky cam in Vernon.
But tomorrow morning we're going to be even colder. Tonight dipping down into the 30s, right near freezing, 32 degrees or colder. So we are in a freeze warning for tomorrow morning. Just keep that in mind if you have plants outside or pets outside. It's really cold. Your morning commute today looking fantastic. Skies overhead, so I'm giving you the green light. Also giving you the green light this afternoon. It's just going to be a little chilly. That sports practices, keep that in mind, especially as the sun begins to go down. Definitely going to need the coat or the jacket. Today, temperatures peaking in the mid 50s for most. We're right near 50 towards the northern portion of the state. Corinth sitting at 50 degrees later this afternoon, but then we're in the mid 50s and then even the upper 50s south of Highway 82 in DeKalb, Philadelphia. You might even reach 58 degrees. Futurecast, we are staying quiet through the next couple of days, really through most of the.
Remember, with a custom crafted monument from
You can now pre-order the Apple iPhone 14 and 14 Plus in a new color. This ray of sunshine on your phone comes just in time for spring. It seems to be a tradition for Apple this time of year. The tech company added green to its iPhone 13 color lineup last year and purple for the iPhone 12 in 2021. For the iPhone 14, you can also choose from several other colors, from red to purple. Apple's even sticking to the spring theme with a new watch band on iPhone cases. The yellow iPhone 14 or 14 Plus are available starting March 14. As for Samsung, it's come out with an upgraded Samsung Galaxy smartphone, the S23. This latest series of phones includes the Galaxy S23, S23 Ultra, and S23 Plus. For this lineup, Samsung says they're taking mobile security to the next level. It features Samsung Message Guard, which can keep its image and text message from compromising the device. The S23 also has an upgraded camera and processor. Like the iPhone 14, these Samsung phones have several colors to choose from, like green, lavender, and even some only available at Samsung.com. All the phones in the Samsung S23 series are already available in stores and online. I'm Emily Gasulo, and that's this week's Tech Bite.
Magnolia Lighting is the Mid-South's premier lighting store and so much more. Visit one of our beautiful locations.
Furniture that people forget about every year, and it is the most important item in your house. It's the difference in getting in and out if an actual fire occurs.
And that household staple that Battalion Chief Chip Kane refers to is the smoke detector. The U.S. Fire Administration reports that 1/3 of home fire deaths happens in homes without smoke alarms.
Smoke detector, it breathes the air around you, whether you think it is or not, once a minute. And if you do the full 10-year lifespan of that smoke detector, that's almost 7.9 million times that detector functioned to possibly save your life.
Battalion Chief Kane says the risk of dying in a home fire is cut in half in homes with working smoke alarms. However, it is important to have an exit plan.
When you hear that thing going off, is to get out. You need to know at least 2 ways to get out of the house. You need to know how to get to your doors, how to get to your windows, preferably with your eyes closed, because if it does start to get smoky, you need to be low, trying to avoid the smoke the best you can.
And in the case there is nowhere to turn,
if you can't get out, have something that you can wave somebody's attention so we can get a ladder to you, so we can get somebody over there to assist you as soon as possible.
Telling your story in Columbus, Rosalind Freeman, WCBI News.
Working on getting my graphics up for you. Temperatures this morning out the door, it's pretty cold. You definitely want.
humility and gratitude.
There were no incidents during the more than
if itself is actually red. To get a white Zinfandel, you only leave the juice in contact with the skins for a short amount of period, and then you would turn it into more of a white wine and not ferment it to a red, if that makes sense. So next time y'all are around town checking out wines, see if they have a Primitivo. There's lots of different styles. You'll see them usually in the Zinfandel section. If you don't have the Zinfandel area of the liquor store, check out the red wine section or the Italian section and see if it's listed there, or just ask somebody. Also, there are a few restaurants around town pouring different Primitivos. Restaurant Tyler will be pouring this one. 44 Prime has a different one. And then Luba, the new wine bar in Starkville, actually pours this one right here. And I think they may have picked up a Primitivo that you'll be seeing shortly as well. So cheers, everyone, and thank you.
That's some green fruit.
The vote in WCDI's Viewers' Choice Award. Vote Bloomers Nursery for Best Garden Store. Vote every day throughout March for all of your local favorites in WCDI's Viewers' Choice Awards on WCDI.com. Everyone likes life hacks. Mom to Mom can help with ideas, from healthy snacks for kids to do-it-yourself projects to save time and money. Join host Mandy Williamson for Mom.
It happened early Saturday morning on MS Highway 8. 50-year-old His vehicle was heading east when it collided with pedestrian Brian Bailey from Pontotoc. Bailey was killed, but no one else was hurt. The time is 6:55. We're going to wrap things up here on Sunrise after the break.
I'm Corey B. Trotz. For car or truck wreck cases, the NST champs always fight to win.
The NST champs rock. They pushed hard and they won for me.
We're Nahan Saharovich and Trotz, champions.
Columbus.
This is difficult for everybody, for both sides to handle.
Right now on WTVA 9 News Today, we continue to follow a developing story. 2 people are sitting in a Louisiana jail in connection to an investigation involving the death of a Mississippi baby. It's something that happened over 30 years ago. We have the latest on the investigation coming up.
Right now, a community and a school district are mourning. A student is fired. I'm Avery Hilliard, and I'll tell you what happened.
And as you're heading out for your Monday morning, we are starting off with chilly conditions, temperatures 30s, low 40s, but how cool will it be throughout the rest of your week? New this morning, the Prentiss County Sheriff's Department took the time to remember the life of a former law enforcement officer killed in the line of duty.
It happened over 20 years ago. Plus,
It's a wonderful way to, I guess, be a kid all your life. You know,
did you ever want to join the birds up in the sky when you were younger? There's a chance for you to learn how. In this week's Skill to Work, we can show you how to become a pilot.
This is WTVA 9.
Good morning, and thank you so much for waking up with us on this Monday morning. I'm Daniela Orpeza.
And I'm AC Barker, filling in for Bronson Woodruff. Today is March 13th, and as we were saying in the previous hour, we just can't believe it's already almost halfway through March.
I know. Spring is about a week away, but out the door this morning feeling a bit on the chilly side. Let's take a live look at one of our MDOT traffic cameras this morning. This one in Columbus. Chelsea, more cars on the roadways, but not as many as we normally are, probably because of spring break.
Yeah, and we're not going to be seeing as much the school traffic, those buses going by.
Hospital because of a serious number of injuries. The sheriff says it's unclear what caused the fire. Right now, I'm working to find out if there are any developments in this investigation. Live in Prentiss County, Avery Hilliard, WTVA 9.
Thank you so much, Avery. At 6:03 this morning, we're following a developing story. Police of Louisiana recently arrested 2 people for the death of a newborn baby who was found in Mississippi over 30 years ago. Picayune police found the baby inside a garbage in 1992. This case was dormant for years until evidence was retested using new technology. Travers Mikkel reports.
This is the booking photo of Inga Carrier. According to jail records from Jefferson Parish, on Thursday, March 2nd, she was booked with first-degree murder and being a fugitive out of Picayune, Mississippi. Sources close to this case and Carrier's lawyer confirmed to WDSU Investigates that the murder charge stems from a case going back 3 years to 1992, and the discovery of a newborn baby being found inside a dumpster just across the state line in Picayune.
It's quite unusual, Travers. This is only maybe the second or third case I've had in almost 30-year career where somebody has been arrested for something that occurred 30 years ago.
Longtime Jefferson Parish Public Defender Paul Fleming is representing Carrier.
And that's kind of the thing, Travers, is there's evidence to suggest that my client believed the child was still born, which would not be newborn, not be a baby, not be an infant, and would not be a murder either.
In August of 2021, the Picayune Police Department and Bureau of Investigations reopened the investigation into this homicide. With advanced technology, DNA profiles and fingerprints were developed from the preserved evidence. Through investigative means, they were able to identify the infant's parents as 50-year-old Andrew Carrier, 50-year-old Inga Johnson Carrier, who were living in Louisiana, they claim, at the time of the death. This breakthrough in the case has been, according to cops, to the advancement in forensic technology and the dedication of law enforcement agencies to bring justice to victims and their families. Fleming us, his office is in the initial stages of its investigation, but does not believe his client committed any crime.
What we've determined so far would tend to exonerate our client. We don't think she had any guilty knowledge of this incident that occurred more than 30 years ago.
Court records list this home in Avondale as Carrier's address. And on that charge of first-degree murder, bail was not set for Carrier.
This is difficult for everybody, for both sides to handle. Because of the same things you said, Travers. The evidence is old, witnesses are gone. Some of the witnesses, some of the people who would have been witnesses have died, and that's accurate. It's not speculation among them. In this case, some of the witnesses had in fact died. It's going to make it difficult to prosecute, difficult to defend.
State police tell us the investigation into this case continues. We should point out that first-degree murder in Louisiana is punishable if convicted by death. It's not yet known, because it's so early on in this case, if the DA could seek the death penalty.
New this morning, Prentiss County deputies recently took the time to remember a former law enforcement officer. Saturday marks the 24th anniversary of his death while in the line of duty. The Prentiss County Sheriff's Department said Michael Highsaw died on March 11th in 1999. He was 27 years old at the time of his death. The department said someone shot and killed him when he responded to a call about a man trying to get into a home. When he got there, he saw the suspect leaving. He stopped the vehicle the suspect was driving and went to talk to him when that person shot him 3 times. The department said Deputy Highsaw had been with the agency for 3 years. He's the first law enforcement officer known to be killed in Prentiss County.
Also new this morning, a Yalobusha County deputy is recovering after he got hurt in a car accident while on duty over the weekend. The Yalobusha County Sheriff's Department shared this tweet Sunday saying that Deputy Randy Coleman got hurt in a car accident Friday night. He went to the Regional 1 Medical Center in Memphis.
2 deadly car crashes in 2 different counties, and both happened over the weekend. Now state troopers are trying to figure out what exactly happened. And if you're traveling along the Natchez Trace and see smoke during your commute, don't worry. Park officials say this is planned. This morning you have to hear what's starting